This is Jake, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Fat Gay Texan, the show where we talk about anything and we don't throw political correctness out the window because we never let it in the house to begin with. We're going to talk about a very complicated, difficult problem today, which is the American welfare system. Can it be fixed? Who knows? Yes, it can. If we made it and we broke it, we can fix it. According to budgethouse.gov, in 2022, the U.S. government spent $1.19 trillion over 80 different welfare programs. Now, for those who say if we get rid of welfare, it will fix the national debt, if we got rid of welfare entirely today, it would still take over 30 years, just about, to pay off the national debt if we got rid of welfare. So it won't fix that, but it is a huge contributing factor to the national debt. Urban.org states that women who receive welfare will spend anywhere between 6 and 13 years in the welfare system. That's a long time, y'all. 6 to 13 years in the welfare system. And of course, that's varying programs. That could be anything from food stamps to WIC, which is, they give young for babies, but still. 6 to 13 years. That is longer than most people stay at their jobs nowadays, which that's what is most concerning to me about the American welfare system is that this is becoming more and more of all these programs, all these, things we talk about, the government does for welfare. It's not creating an exit strategy for people who need help. It's supposed to be a safety net. So if you think of what a safety net is, go back to the circus. And someone's on the high wire and they're, going across and they're trying not to fall down. Well, there's a net there in case they do fall down. But when they train you to be a tightrope walker, they're not training for how to stay in the net for a long time and take a nap. No, the net's just there if you need it. We're supposed to be helping people not need the net. But it seems like what the government's doing and all these programs, we're just saying, hey, don't think of it as a net. Think of it as a hammock. Lay in that hammock, relax. It's okay. 6 to 13 years, that's ridiculous. And if you look at the past history from the Pew Research Center, between the years 1978 and 2002, despite some spikes and dips in there, if you average that time out, the money spent on welfare programs during that time period, or on food stamps during that time period, was about the same. It jumped dramatically after 2002, right around the 2010 mark, which is, way before COVID, way before all of these things that people say, well, COVID, well, the economy. Well, the economy didn't tank in 2002, and it started increasing sharply since then. These programs take up 20% of the national budget, 20%. That's a huge chunk considering everything this country has to spend money on. And if we are going to ever tackle the national debt, this is one of the areas we have got to cut and clean up and fix. It won't solve the national debt problem, but it will it will help. So even if we just cut the spending in half, it may take 60 years, but it would pay off the national debt just by cutting what we spend on welfare programs in half right now in 60 years, which is a long time, but it's a lazy way. You can say, look, in 60 years, it's going to be paid off. All we did was change one thing. Now, that's 1/5 of what your tax dollars go to. And there are many, many different reasons people are on these programs. And I think for the most part, we need these programs. There should be some sort of safety net there to catch you when you fall. But as we've already discussed, this is not a permanent lifestyle. But a lot of people have made it that way. They're experts at staying on this system. They know what to do. They know how to work it to stay on this system. But 1/5 of your tax dollars goes to fund these poorly managed, poorly watched systems. There's not a single change that will solve these problems. It will take changes in multiple areas, and not just government. per se, not just things you think would be related to it. Fuel prices, when we talk about food stamps, fuel prices contribute 10 to 15% of the total cost of what you buy in the grocery store. Cutting fuel prices will not make a drastic change in the price of food. It would help significantly, but not as much as people think, but it would help. Also, not it would also just not help the food stamp program per se. It would help everyone in America that has to buy food, which is everyone in America. Everyone has to have food. Cheaper gas prices would lower the price of food. They would also increase the amount of money people have left over every month for things like food, for things like basic medical services. I mean, when I fill up my tank and gas is around $3 or so a gallon, it's $50 or more. And I fill it up twice a week. When gas is around $2 a gallon, it's around $35, $36 to fill up my tank. And it doesn't sound like much, but essentially it would save me $30, $40 a week just having gas prices around $2 a gallon. You know, that is roughly $120 a month or so that I would have to allocate to other parts of my budget. And if you're a smart shopper, $100 more a month goes a lot, can go a long way in food prices and buying food for your family. If you're a smart shopper, you know, that's about what I spend a week is about $100, $120 a week in food for the two of us here. So just that would almost give me like an extra week of food, help fight that food insecurity that a lot of Americans face. You know, I'm not a huge fan of big government oversight and the government getting their hands in a million things, but I am a big advocate of, out of all the stupid shit the American government wants to get their hands into, they won't seem to get their hands in the oil industry to regulate and control the price of gasoline. It is not some luxury item. It is a necessity, and it affects every one of us. Every single American is affected by fuel prices. So I really think government should, maybe instead of spending 1.19 trillion on these welfare programs, supplement gas by that much. You know, that would be helpful for all of us. I also feel, just on the food side of things, we need to limit what people can purchase. And I know that sounds bad, and people are going to say everyone deserves to have what they want. No, no, not if someone else is paying for it. That does not mean, you know, government cheese and bologna. But what that does mean is, you know, you cannot buy stupid sodas at the checkout that are $1.75 a bottle. You don't even need sodas. I found it very ironic that, you know, Michelle Obama, you know, she was a big advocate for healthy eating and healthy food and counting your calories. And now I know how many calories are in a Big Mac when I go to McDonald's. But on the same token, we were still allowing people to buy Oreos on food stamps. And I thought, well, hold on a minute. The same government that's telling you to be healthy, everything else says here, yes, you can go buy 10 bags of Doritos and 12 packs of Coke with the government money. I think that food stamp recipients should be limited to store brands when available. You don't need name brand Dr. Pepper. You can get some Dr. Thunder. You will survive. I don't think that we should be paying for junk food for people. I mean, you can literally go in with food stamps right now and you can buy $200 worth of single serve Snickers bars and it will go through. I think that's ridiculous. WIC, on the other hand, which is the program that helps infants, you know, mothers pay for their needs for infants, mothers or fathers pay for their, you know, formula and baby food and things like that. That program's very restrictive, which those are some of the more important years in a child's development are those very early years. And yet we're very restrictive on that. Being restrictive means that the dollar we spend goes further. It's the same restrictions that we put ourselves under as normal Americans that go grocery shopping. We buy off-brand stuff. We do not go crazy and, spend the money on the soda at the register. Some people do, but yeah, we have to limit what we spend and how much we spend on things and what we buy and what brands we buy. We shop sales. So I think the same sort of smart economics should be put on people that use the government, not the government's money, our money. Margaret Thatcher once said the government has no money. The government has your money. And if I have to shop that way and I'm saying, look, I will help you out, you need to shop the way I do. You need to be restricted the same way I am. You shouldn't have this free for all that you're able to have because I don't have those luxuries. The other step for the welfare program, and this one, another, once again, controversial. If you have a kid while on welfare, you don't get any extra benefits. You don't. I knew a lady once, she knew how to space out her kids perfectly. She would say, I'm going to have this one, and then in 2 years, I'm going to have this one. For years, she stayed on the government, on welfare programs. If you have a kid while you were on any form of government assistance, we do not increase the amount of government assistance you receive. Why? Because you already knew you couldn't afford it, and yet you just went ahead and said, screw it, or screw me, I'll have another kid. Because someone else will pay for it. I don't think that's right. We are rewarding bad behavior. That's not right. So we need to cut it off. No. If you start the programs and you have 2 kids, well, if you decide to have 4 more, that's not my problem. That's your problem. You knew you couldn't afford them, but you decided to have them. Now you deal with the consequences. Now, the other thing I think would help solve this problem is limit the amount of total time that people can be on welfare for their entire life. We read earlier where 6 to 13 is the average number of years that women in the welfare system stay on welfare. Limit it to 5. Max, total life, done. Once again, safety net, not lifestyle choice. If you are limited to 5 years, to me, 5 years of your life needing help is pretty darn reasonable and generous. If you can't get your crap together, I can see losing a job, having a rough spot, not being able to afford something. Well, come on, get it back together again. Don't sit here for years and years and years. If you knew there was a time limit, it would be more encouraging for people to get off the program. We should be training people who need assistance. The whole goal of the program should be getting them to the point where they no longer need assistance. That goal doesn't even exist in the current program. It doesn't cross anyone's mind. It's about, you go into these offices, how can we get you on the program? What can we do to help? Yeah. Not, here's an outline of, this is day 1, you need help. This is day 100. This is day 120. Anything to help people get off. This is not government assistance. This does not assist the people who are on these programs in any way, shape, or form. Never, ever, ever is giving people free money helpful. Never. Doesn't help. It helps in the short term, doesn't solve the problem. This is a Band-Aid, not the surgery people need. This is a Band-Aid. These are not the stitches. This is not going to heal it up. This is just, it'll be okay for now. Yeah, this will get you by. I also believe that if you are on any of these welfare programs and you're able to work, you need to be doing so to some capacity, or you need to be attending some sort of classes to make you more marketable in the workplace. You need to be doing something. The government pays people tons and tons of money a year. These government employees who have that, we won't even go there. We pay tons of money a year. There's so many projects that need to be done. We spend trillions of dollars a year just for the government to function. Well, if you're sitting at home with nothing to do, let's put you to work. Let's get you a job. Let's get you the skills you need to have a job. Once again, we go back strictly to how do we actually assist you? How do we actually help you? If you go to a church, most churches, if you go to a church and you're in need of something, they have all these programs in place that work with employers. They They may find things around the church. They will hook you up many times if you need help, because the church is actually there to assist you. This is not a religious post by any means, but it's just a good example. You go, they have all these people lined up, most of them do, to actually assist you. When we go back to housing, this is a touchy subject. And I'm just going to put it out here this bluntly. I don't want anyone that receives welfare for housing to live better than I do. I don't think it's right. Sorry, not right. That doesn't mean, don't take it the wrong way, some of you will, that we should say, oh, you can only live in the slums. No, 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 no. But there are laws or city ordinances in many cities all across the country where it can be the nicest neighborhood in the world. They build a new apartment complex. Well, some of it's got to be for subsidized housing. Are you insane? No, I can't afford to live there. I make a reasonable amount of money every year, and I can't afford to live there. So how dare someone I support get to live better than I do? Sorry, no, that's not right. That does not mean they live in the slums, like we said before. Don't twist that the wrong way. But although this is an extreme example, you shouldn't get to live on Fifth Avenue on welfare. That's all I'm saying. Not fair. And then once again, when we have all these stupid programs and we say, oh, well, if we build this, then so-and-so's got to be, we got to have this neighborhood has to. No, you're making this seem like this is a permanent situation these people are going to be in. It's not. Well, it is now, but it's not if you did it right. So I think that and I'm not saying that to be mean. What I'm saying is it costs a whole lot more money to live in certain areas than it does other areas. Like when we talked about food, if I, as the average American that earns an average income, has to budget what I spend a month on food and say, nope, I can't afford to buy that. No, we cannot get all these pre-made meals. I have to make the same housing choices. No, I can't live there in my current state. And if I'm helping to pay, if we, the American people, are helping to pay for people to live, no, you don't get to live better than us, because not in your current state. That, once again, it sounds nice on the surface, but if you don't have to work for it, you're not going to appreciate it. You can say, look, I'm living somewhere that I don't really like. I would like to live better. Well, you start taking steps in your life to get to that better point. But now we're already given, here, free food, nice neighborhood. Your medical insurance is paid for. Your rent's paid for. Here you go. What's the encouragement? The last thing I want to talk about is bringing back the family unit. Single motherhood rates have rise significantly in this country, and that is one of the main contributing factors to people being on welfare programs. We all know that in most cases in America today, you have to have a 2-income household to survive. I have to have one just to live where I do and to have what I have. And I don't even have kids. So the idea that setting out to be a single parent, period, is a great choice. It's not in today's economy. It never really has been. When you're a single parent, you have a lot of extra expenses like daycare, things like that you don't always have if you are a dual parent household. So I think bringing back the family unit, it wasn't, people argue religion and things like that, but there is some logic to go to school, get a job, start making your own money, then get married, then buy a home together, start your life, wait a few years before you have kids, and then have kids. Don't do it the backwards way around. Because when you do it the backwards way around, this is Johnny and I love each other. We've been dating for 6 months and this is the real thing. Had the kid, boom, Johnny's gone. Or Samantha's gone. Whoever in the hell. Yeah, they're gone. At least the other way around, when you were both financially stable or you both had your own life, then you got married, you waited a year or two before you had kids. At least you knew there was a better chance of you two surviving as a couple. There was already a commitment in there. So bringing back the family unit doesn't have to be the traditional family unit, but bringing that back would really help, I think. So There's my quick take on what we'd have to do to fix the welfare system. And my solutions aren't going to be the ones that fix it. But in my view, as someone who's been a beneficiary of the welfare system before, growing up, and even a little bit as an adult, these are the things it takes to fix it. And we need to get on it. We need to get on it, and we need to not be afraid just to say what we need to say to get it done. We're so afraid it's going to come across wrong. We're so afraid we're going to hurt feelings. This is business. This is business. At the end of the day, this is business. Well, I appreciate you all listening so much. And whether you got something out of it or offended, at least you listened. And I really do hope you enjoyed it. If you have anything to say or any other solutions, add them in the comments section below. This is Jake signing off for the Fat Gay Texan. Sorry, isn't that embarrassing? 22 minutes into this stupid thing and then I mess up at the end. Anyway, this is Jake signing off for the Fat Gay Texan.